Okay. So on guys, on your homework, I'm seeing a lot of while true. X is input if x equal 2 or whatever. Print yes. Or actually no, this is enter 1 to quit. It's something like this. Or it's just something like this. Does this work? Yes. Is it necessarily does it work? Yes. But you can also just do while x doesn't equal 1. You can do the same thing. So I just wanted to let you guys know you can do this or this. In our game, we typically, this is probably more common as opposed to a while true and then doing it. Because notice there really isn't much of a difference between while true and this one, because I still define x, I then evaluate x, and depending on what it is, I either continue or quit. So just throwing that out there. I've seen a lot of this and you can do it like this. So nothing necessarily wrong with either one, just up to you. Okay, so what we're going to do for our game. Currently, if I remember correctly, and thank you for the corrections, we have something like this. Just a bunny on a screen. Do you guys have grass on yours?
Yeah, we have a grass and a castle.
Okay.
Yeah, grass and
And you want the grass behind the player. So real quick, the order in which I have things blitted determines what is on top of each other. So if I were to take this, yes?
You might want to change the coordinates of the castle because that seems like it would be right on top.
I'm about to. You're getting ahead of me. So if I were to take this piece of paper and put it on the table and then take this book and put it on top of the paper, what am I going to see? The book. And if I put the book down, and assuming this paper was bigger than the book, I put the paper over it, what do I see? So the first thing I write or I put down is the thing that's underneath everything. So what I want to do is I want to have my background be behind everything. So the very, very first thing in my code that I blit is going to be always going to be my background. So I have my grass at 100, 100. I have my player at 100, 100. And my castle is going to be at 300, 300, because I think that's what it was before. And then we're also going to put grass at the same location. So now when we run it, we should have something like this. That's what you guys have? Okay. Notice real quick, the top left of our screen, what's the coordinate for that?
0.
0, 0. At 100, 100 is where I blit my image. The top left of the image goes to that coordinate. So notice, this point is 300, 300, and that's where I now have my image. It's not the middle of my image or anything. It's the top left gets blitted at the XY coordinate. Does that make sense? That does affect our code a little bit. Yes?
Does that make them the bottom right? 400, 400 then?
Yeah, the bottom right, this corner is 640, 480.
I meant like the bottom of that, like the castle picture. Like that would make that.
Yes, because, oh yes, very good. Because the image itself is 100 and 100, it's 100 pixels wide by 100 pixels long, you know that this corner is at 400, 400. So what we could do is 100. Wait, no, let's go 200, 100, and then do 300, 100, and then do 400, 100, and then do 500, 100, and then we do 600, 100. Whew. Yes. What do you think we're going to use to do this? Yay, 4 loops. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to use a loop to tile the background of our image so that we don't have to have all of these blits. So we're going to we need to keep one of the grass for now. So I'm going to delete the rest. Oops.
So only one grass?
We only need one grass because we're going to repeat it a certain number of times. So, actually, I need to pull up my other code because that has, I don't want to screw it up. Nope, I already have that one out. Close enough. So, we're going to start with a 4x in range, colon. So one thing I want to show you guys, in your resources folder, if you go to the image, open file location. So if you go here, and you right click grass, and you go to properties, it tells you under details the width. So I know it's 100 pixels wide and 100 pixels high. That's why we use certain numbers. Now,
Everything 100 grams?
just this one image. So our background is 100, 100. Our dude image, we can take a look, and that is 64 by 46. The dude is 46 or 64 by 46. So you can do that, and that can kind of give you an idea of, okay, how wide do I need to make my, this spawn area? I don't know. That's just good to know. Cole, you on your phone? Can you please put your phone in your bag? I forgot to do this while doing attendance. So from now on, as we're doing attendance, as you say your answer, please put your phone in your bag. If you have your phone out now, could you please just put it in your bag? Thank you. Yours is charging, so just don't grab it. So again, we're not going to use a loop, or we're going to use a loop. Oopsies. Did I just... Okay, so we have 4x in range. Now, our screen is 640 pixels wide by 480 pixels long. What we're going to do in here, in range, what type of number has to be inside here? Not 0. That's where it starts with. Does that work? Yeah, can I put 4.5 in there? Why not, Luke? Has to be an integer. Can I go through a loop half a time? Okay, that's exactly why. We're going to do some math, so we're going to get integers, or we're going to get floats, so we need to make sure that whatever our math is, it is an integer. So we're going to do that. Now, x on our game corresponds to the width or the height? The width. So we're going to go width. Oh, oops, that needs to be inside. Now what we're going to do is we are going to get the width of our screen, which is 640, and we're going to divide it by the width of our image. This is going to give us how many times we need to tile our image, right? So if I have a 100 pixel wide image in a 640 pixel wide screen, what is 640 divided by 100? 6.4. And to integerize 6.4 gives us what? 6. Yeah. It deletes it. So what this code is going to do, this integer, this range is going to be, until we run it, because we're not 100% sure it's going to work. Well, I am, but you aren't. Is going to be range 6. So from 0 to 6, it's going to go tile, 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 tile. What's the width of our image? So I could type in 100, but what would that do? That's called, anyone remember what's the term for hard coding? Yes. Who said that? Okay, hard coding. You're getting close, yes. I need to type in the variable which represents the image. If I hard code it at 100, what happens if the background's 50 pixels wide? You'll actually get an image and then a 50 pixel wide bar, and then the image, and then 50 pixels, and then the image, and then pixels, or black. So we don't want that. We want this code to be dynamic and not static. Static, especially in computer networking, it means it doesn't change. So if you are given a static IP address, that means your IP address never changes. However, if it's dynamic, it's able to change with stuff. DHCP actually stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which means it dynamically changes stuff. So anyway, so grass dot. Now, what do you think that does? Doesn't ask you, it just gets it. So instead of me typing in 100, Python gets that information for me. Yes, Cole.
So could you just like hard code it though? Like, do you want us to actually like do this?
You could hard code it, but if you hard code it and use different, like if you use the artwork by, well, you guys will have to use the artwork by the art people.
I'm still mad we can't make our own. That would be so fun.
It would take too long. It does every year.
Yeah, well, that's understandable.
So if you want to make your own artwork for a game, then make it on your own time. Awesome. But yeah. So what's easier? Art department. Make sure your artwork is no more than, it has to be 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Or I'll just code it to whatever width it is, it works with it. Right? The difference is typing in get width parentheses or 100 or 100. Is typing in get underscore width that much harder than typing in 100? No, so you might as well just make sure that it all works with anything. So we're going to get the width. And then in order for this to work any different, like, I mean, you could put, okay, so let's run this and see what happens.
Wouldn't it also do it to the castle because they're all over before?
No, but they're not.
They're not indented in.
So no, the castle is wrong.
I deleted the one under castle. So why isn't this, like, working? Does anyone know?
Well, because you didn't make X do anything. You just made it draw it.
Right, I still just have 100. So what it's doing is it's splitting the same image in the same area 6 times. So that's not what I want. What do I want?
You change it by X.
I want this to be X. Alright, now let's see what it looks like. Okay. Doesn't look... So the first time we go through this loop, what does X equal?
Well, it has to be times 100 or something.
What does X equal the first time we go through this loop? 0. So we're splitting it at 0, 100. Then the next time we go through the loop, what does it equal? 1. So then we're splitting it at 1, 100. So basically all we're doing is we're splitting it 1 pixel apart. So the difference is like the image is moving this much. however much 6 pixels is between my fingers. It's probably less than that. Fun fact, 72 pixels is 1 inch. So if you're on a Word and you have something that's 72 font, that's 1 inch. So.
Oh, is font pixels?
Yeah, that's what that means.
Actually, how did I not know that?
You haven't had me as a teacher until now? So, but if you guys do this, like, knowing that this is how it works is pretty cool. Because we're obviously going to blit a certain number of times. Anyone want to take a guess at how many times we're going to blit the background?
Wait, what's bullet?
Blit is putting it on screen.
Oh, as many times as the width of the screen is divided by the width of the player.
I think it's 35 times.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's 35 times we blit an image. Because we have to do X amount along the Y, X and then Y. So if we do 6 and then 5, that's 30. Or 6 times 4, whatever it is.
6 times 5 times 7.
Oh, so 35. Yeah, we'll get it. So if you had, what do you think would be easier on the computer? Running these 2 loops and blitting something 35 times, or having one image you blit once? Yeah, so if you want, you can have a bigger background and you blit it once and that's it. As opposed to tiling it this way. The reason we tile it this way is this is all we have for our image and this is how we make it work. Yes?
So, just a second ago, I was messing around and seeing if I could try to figure it out. Someone mentioned x times 100. So I tried x times 100 and I got it for part of the way. But then I did, since it didn't work, I did x times 150, 100. And it gave me this weird pattern. It was like grass,
Black.
nothing, grass, nothing, grass, nothing, grass.
Yeah, because you're blitting it. It's 100 pixels wide, but you're blitting it every 150.
Oh, that makes more sense.
So it's just, yeah.
Should you do x
Well, hang
times in grass dot
Nope.
get slash?
Oh, yes, you can do that. And I'm going to get to that, and I meant to do that last hour, so what you can actually do, and I did this for one of the example games that I made for the class years ago. I had a picture of clouds and I had a plane flying, and what I did is if this is my screen right here, and so this wide, imagine just my face. And if I have an image that is this long, right, you don't see this part of the image. But if I scoot it this way, it looks like the background's actually moving. It looks like you're flying, which is how backgrounds are done in a lot of animation. There's a TV show that actually makes a joke about it. It's like these 2 characters are walking down a hallway, and you see the same door with the same name.
Oh,
yeah. And the characters are like, wow, that's like the 16th time we passed that person's lab. Yeah, those animators must be trying to save some money. All it is the same background being repeated, right? Does that make sense?
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so you can blitz stuff off screen and bring it in later.
This can't you do like if x is far then negative 100 x equals like 700 and then it would just go.
Yep, that's exactly it. Okay, so yes, someone pointed out we do need to make this x times 100. So now when we run it, we should have 1 bar across the screen. We're obviously not done, so we're going to close that out right now. We're going to get back into our game. So we have a bar going across the screen, one direction. What do you think we need to have it go down?
What?
A Y and another for loop, right? So for Y in range, and you know what? I'm not lazy. I'm efficient. So I'm just gonna copy this. And then what do I need? What would I need to change?
It would be you want to do width and height. Right?
Yep, that's exactly it. We have height, and then get height.
grass stays the same, but the Y, like indentation wise, the grass stays where it is, or does it get indented?
It gets indented one. I was gonna wait and just make sure everyone got to where they finished this. But you then need to indent screen.blit grass once. So then what do you think we need to do? If we have x times 100, y times 100. Now this goes again to what I was saying about hard coding stuff in. What can I do instead of putting 100 here?
Height? Oh no, grass dog get that width.
Yep. It's kind of up to you. Yeah, let's do it. That makes our...
It's harder to edit though. Or to understand.
Oh, maybe. Now when you run it, hopefully it works. We have... Oh.
It doesn't do that. Yeah, I get that.
What do you guys think? Well, in order to fully cover our screen, what do we need on both sides? We need one more here and one more here, right? Would that cover our screen? How do you think we get that?
Add on to what you have.
Oh, I thought it was like 6.4, right? It wasn't just 6, right?
Well, it's 6.4 because 100, it's 640 divided by 100 is 6.4. We integerize that to 6.
So
I just made it 700 and 500. I like the width of the screen.
Yeah, well that throws some stuff off later, but you can't do that. However, what's the thing we learned about range? If we have range of 4, what numbers do we get?
1, 2, oh, 0, 2, 3. Or 0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2, 3. That's what's going on here. We have range of 6, but it's printing at 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. If it's 100 pixels wide, the endmost thing of our image is going to be at the 600 mark. Does that make sense to everyone? Does that make sense to, does that not make sense to someone? Guys online, you good? Okay. So, what do you think we need to do to fix this?
You have to change some values.
Yeah.
Can you change
Asher?
You could just make it so that it's width plus, so like don't add more to the range, right?
Yeah, how do I do that? Where do I do it?
In range in width divided by grass. Dot get width plus, and then just out of that just say +1
So like right here?
to add one more row, right?
Let's see. If you guys make a little change like that, it's okay to make literally that change and run it. So don't think you have to write a lot of code to run it. Every time you make a change, you should run your code.
Wait, what?
But that's right.
Range.
So then Cole, what do we need to do with the other one? Yep. And now, ta-da! Yes.
I know I may be jumping ahead, but how would we code that if we wanted to go full screen? Would it be different? Oh, I
So-
looked this up once.
You can't, so there's a code we use. It basically gets the middle of our screen. If you want to do full screen, there is a way. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But you would make your screen full-sized, and then in your code you would say middle of my screen. So middle of my screen does not get the middle of your Surface screen. It gets the middle of your Pygame window. But if your Pygame window is full screen, then the middle of your Pygame window is the middle of your screen.
I see.
Does that make sense? Okay. But for now, we're just gonna work with this. So then obviously I don't want my castle here. But we do want our player above our castle. So just copy and paste. Just copy and paste it so you have 4 castle blitted. That's second hour. Okay, now I need to actually get the full game.
We need to put that right after. So it's copy the castle there.
Yep. Do not have these be blitted inside of either of the 4 loops. They need to be equal with the first loop. Where is that file? Oh, I hate when I do this. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I was just looking up the exact dimensions that these need to be put in as. So each one of these, we're gonna blit it at what is 0 in those x, y.
That's first proper point.
0, 0 is, but if I just have the x 0, where is this gonna be?
At the very left.
Yes, it's gonna be butted up against the edge of the screen. But we'll be able to see the whole image because, like I said, the top left of the image is what gets blitted at this XY coordinate. So then the following numbers are 30, 135, 240, 345. So now when we run it, I'll leave those numbers there. That's what our game looks like.
And then 345, you said?
135, 240, and 345.
Okay. Who needs a 4 loop for this, right?
You could. What's the mathematical dependency of those? Like, yeah, what are they apart? They're 105 apart.
It's kind of practical.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want it, like, you
Are we
could.
even going to use that setup?
What do you mean?
Like, for castles?
No. Well, for our game, yes. For your game, you can do whatever you want. If you want to write a loop, go right ahead. But we're not going to. Okay, so we have about 50 minutes left, and I did this for about 50 minutes with the class. I gave the students in the other class about 40 minutes to work on the homework. It was at least a half hour. You guys want extra time to work on that? It's a completion grade, or do you want to do a little bit more with this?
Yes.
Extra time.
Who wants to do the homework? A little bit extra time on the homework. Raise your hand.
I know it's going to take me longer than it takes Ashley.
Who wants to do the game? Okay, so how about I do 9 more minutes and give you guys 40 minutes, a little bit, which is more than I think I gave the other class.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, you know what? But we're not going to be able to actually.
I said we flip a coin.
Well, let's just do the homework then, because if it's
Because this is gonna I'll just show you everything we need to code in order to get your guys to move.
Oh my goodness.
Nope. This is the full game, so we need basically those 2 variables. We need
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's do that next week.
that,
Yeah, let's wait.
and we need this.
Let's wait till Friday.
Okay, we'll wait till Friday on that.
Oh, are we doing movement?
Yeah, that's the next thing we're gonna do.
That's pretty cool. We're actually starting to like.
Yeah, you're building a game slowly but surely. Cole.
What is the game's like basis on? Like I know we have like the bunny with the gun and like castles, but
I
like
feel like we could have chosen.
what's gonna be the game's like end? Like what's gonna be the goal of the game?
The goal is to survive for 90 seconds.
What's coming out?
Badgers.
Badgers?
Have I not shown you guys the game?
You have not shown us the game.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
sworn
show us the
I've
game.
shown both
No.
classes the game.
No, show us the game.
We literally are
See
just.
it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. You guys, to me, I told the other class this. You guys just kind of are the same in my head, which is really bad.
I just was confused because I was like, are we just gonna make a bunny with this?
Yeah, just like, you gonna shoot
Is he
people?
just gonna run around?
Shoot, you're trying to defend the castle from the Badgers for 90 seconds.
Hang on. Watch this.
Oh dear.
Please don't break.
Wow.
No.
Well, they're fast.
So you could very easily code it to where if you get hit by a badger, you lose health too, but we didn't code that.
Does it like use like what's it called like ATAN2 or something? ATAN2?
No.
You should make it like everything. You could just cheat it.
I'm scrolling because that counts as a mouse button. But notice as I do that,
Your game's
because it has to keep track and do the math for every single arrow, so everything slows down. Which is
break your game by doing that.
you can. But what we do is we code, once the arrows get off screen, we delete them so the computer doesn't have to think about them. And so as more arrows disappear, the easier it is to walk. Now this, for some reason, is like the slower version, because I've updated and edited, or optimized this game before, so I've made it a little better.
You like tap off the number of arrows possible.
You can, but that's lame. Hey, I won!
Wait, so that was your health on top left?
Yeah, and if I lose,
Accuracy 7.1%.
I got an accuracy of 7%.
You got an accuracy of 7.2549 something.
And if you lose, this is what happens.
It takes so long.
Hang on, they speed up.
They do? Yeah. I don't know.
The spawn rate, unless I didn't change the spawn rate, doesn't look
You're
like...
gonna count it out.
The speed across the screen never changes, but the rate at which they spawn does.
I thought you meant their
So game over. So that's the game. Very simple, but with everything in this game, you can build a really cool game.
Could you make like the weapon different? Like, could you have it shoot rockets instead of arrows or something?
Yep, that's actually an idea for a power-up, is after a certain amount of time, an image gets put on screen, and when you collide with it, your arrow changes. So instead of shooting an arrow, you're now shooting a bazooka. Yeah. So I've had people do like a tower defense game where you're literally in a tower and you're doing a crossbow or an arrow, and so you're shooting like bats and like whatever. And as I said literally in a tower. Tower defense where you're literally in a tower, and the background changes as the sun slowly sets. And if you can make it to night, you're okay. You win. And they did that again by having an object, just as the game is cycling, keeping a running total and moving the sun slowly down by like half a pixel each cycle, because your computer will cycle through your code about 60 times a second or 30 times a second. So, yeah. Okay, so then we're gonna stop there. So hopefully your guys's your game works. Again, you can change this if you want this to be 100. You're welcome to, but for now, online there is an assignment that I made available to you guys earlier today in the other class, and it's just called for loops. Not the greatest name, because I think we have something else called for loops, but it's the one that was assigned today. And there's 3 problems, one of which I didn't realize was a lot harder than I thought. And given what you guys have learned in class, I don't think you guys can actually do it.
cubed
Which
or
one
the
is it?
first one?
The second one.
It's probably about like keys and stuff.
Nah, it's the second one. It's the one where you take an integer from the user and reverse it.
Oh yeah, how are you supposed to do that? How would you code that?
Uh,
Take each number, splice it out, and then somehow take
Where's
each
my
number from the bottom to the top and reorder them.
the way I originally did it, because I got this from a website, you have to use indexes of a string, and we haven't learned that yet. So,
We've looked through a string though, right?
we've looped through it, but we haven't learned what indexing is. Could I throw that at you right now? Yes. I will when we get to list, because list index is how we keep track of which bad guy gets deleted when an arrow hits it. So we definitely need to know that, but we don't need to do that now. So you guys don't, if try number 2 is like a challenge thing, you have to do 1 and 3. So 1 is complete the factorial of a number given by the user. So factorial means that number times every number between 1 and that number. So factorial of 5 means 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. There's a very...
You have to pick. They have to pick one of those.
Yeah, the user picks the number.
1 through 5.
No, any number.
Oh.
The reason I say 5 is the factorial of 5 is 120. The factorial of 6 is 720. The factorial of 7 is 7 times 720. The factorial of 8 is 8 times 7 times 720. So if you start typing in 58, 99, that's 99 times 98 times 97 times 94 times 93 times 92 times 91, working all the way down to 1. So don't put a huge number in there, is what I'm saying.
So could you tell them, like, pick number 1 through 10?
Pick a number less than 10, yeah. And while their answer is greater than 10, continue to ask them. You could throw a while validation loop in there for sure. You don't have to in this assignment.
Wait,
This
that
is
the
you.
challenge?
I'm in the middle of talking. Hang on. So you can use a while validation loop to make sure that the number they type in is less than 10. Fine, you don't have to. But what this assignment is for you to get used to using the X in a for loop. And then for the last one, you also... Oh, no, for the first one, you need a running total, by the way. So you guys will need to keep track of the answer of 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. So the running total is just like the wallet, where I start with 0 and add 5, and then I add 5 more, and then I add 5 more, and I hit 15. This is the same thing. I start with a number, I multiply it by 1, then multiply it by 2, then multiply it by 3. And then the third one is enter a number. So you do need to tab the current number. So the current number is 1, and the cube of that number, and the cube is 1. So a cube of a number is that number times itself 3 times. So cube of 1 is 1 times 1 times 1, which equals 1. The cube of 3, or the cube of 2, is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Cube of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27, because 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, yada, yada, yada. Again, for example, this is up until 6. So, do you guys have questions? Cool.
I think you might have already said this, but you only want us to do number 3, 1 through 6, just let them 1 through 6. Or do you want us to do, like, whatever?
I don't care. I'm just telling you, if you type in for the factorial 100, you're going to have a digit that's huge. So just be careful, is what I'm saying. Same with factorial, or same with the cube, because 100 times, because what it's going to do is it's going to do 100 times 100 times 100, which isn't that hard, but 99 times 99 times 99, then 98 times 98 times 98. It's going to do every number from from 1 to their number. So it just may take a while. Asher, what were you saying?
You said do something as a challenge.
The second problem. Reverse a given integer number given by the user. Do not use imported modules, which we haven't even learned how to do yet. So, yes, Cole.
Is there going to be a possibility, if they were to enter in 100, could you use something with the idea of range and say, like, or no, that doesn't make sense. Like, could you put a range like of 0 to whatever the number is? And then could you say like multiple, or would that not make sense?
So like for x in range of 100 of their number is 100.
Yeah. So
And then once x, say if it passes 15, you cancel it.
yeah, or you were just saying that. Actually, no, that wouldn't. No, that would not.
You could have an if. So if you have a for loop for x in range 100, if x equals greater than 50, you can break out of the loop.
Yeah.
So you could. So you would basically, you could do that. You could either do a while validation loop, or in the for loop you verify that the number's too big and you quit. Either way. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video then.